Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. Yes, and welcome back to part 2 of the Mondstadt village that we are making from Genshin Impact. And I just want to put a disclaimer out right now. I didn't do any of the interior. That specifically reason is because, well, I guess that specific reason is because there is just so many buildings and I don't know what is inside of them, and I don't want to make anything that just kind of feels weird. But you guys, it is on the gallery, so if you do want to download it, you can literally just renovate a home the way that you would like it, the way that you would want. Your Sims can live here. You can turn it into anything that your heart desires. But it is just strictly visual, but it is functional. So if you do, again, like I said, wanted to build a home on here or anything like that, you guys totally can. But yeah, so I would love to talk about the build, but y'all know your girl always has stories. So I'm just gonna say it's a big build. It's on a 64 by 64 lot, of course, as always. And yeah, if you guys want to know where to get this or download it on the gallery, it is in the description down below. So all my names and everything like that will be on there if you do want to download it. And give me a follow on there too, girl, because I post everything there a little bit earlier than the actual video that came out. So if you're seeing this today, I had this out yesterday on the gallery. So it is kind of a nice little sneak peek. So I really do enjoy it. I really like it. It was really fun to make. It was very big, and I wish I had bigger lots to work with. And you're like, girl, it is a 64 by 64 lot. Yes, I know. I just want an 80 by 80 or a 75 by 75 or something. I don't know, but I want something bigger because I want to make a full-on village with a castle, and I know I've already done that before. So go check that one out. But I just want something really big like this, and then have an actual castle in the background. I had that before, but it's not as big as I want it to be. You know what I'm saying? Am I crazy? I think I'm crazy. But okay, I have a story for you guys, okay? Because I was at work the other day, probably about 10 minutes before I had to go, okay? And I'm just getting ready, starting to clock out, whatever. These guys come in, okay? And they're asking for a cream that has vitamin C in it. And I said, yeah, we have those. I'll show you. So he comes in and I show him where to go, try and find it. And I say, is this one good? And he was like, yep, okay, great. So I went over and I just checked him out, and he left, okay? Fast forward I'd probably say 5-ish minutes later, he comes back into the store and he goes, I don't want the plastic one, I want the glass. Oh, sorry, I don't want the glass one, I want the plastic one. And I said, well, actually, our company is changing from the plastic to the glass to be more environmentally friendly. But it is still the exact same product. And he goes, oh, okay, what about shampoo? I really need shampoo. So I was like, okay, let me show you all the shampoos that we have. So he was asking me all these questions, and I was just answering them for him. And then he goes, the vitamin C that's in here, it looks to be really empty. And he opened the top lid, and I looked inside, and it looked perfectly normal. For ours, it's mass production, so all of them look the same. I even grabbed another one to kind of do a comparison, but I just wanted to show him. I was like, okay, this one will still be the same as this one, so there's not really much of a difference because it's all, mass production. It's all the same. And he looks at me, and then he looks down at the thing. He's like, but this one looks like there's more in it. And I said, yeah, because it's tilted on its side. So the product is moving from the middle to the side of the container. So it looks bigger, but it's not. And he goes, oh, okay. So keep in mind, this guy that just bought his stuff his cream was in his left hand that he bought. The one that he picked up from the shelf to look at was in his right hand. So he's asking me all these questions and I'm answering them because I know all the answers like off the top of my head. And then he asks me about a certain ingredient that's inside of it. And I was like, okay, not too sure. But as he's asking me these questions, I was noticing like his hands starting to like come together. You know what I'm saying? Like it looked like he was like really set on wanting to get the other one. So I saw that the one that he bought, obviously in his left hand, the new one was in his right. He put the one that he bought originally on the bottom and the one that he grabbed on the top. So for some reason in my head, I was like, this guy is going to try and switch out the stuff that he got and he's going to try and put the one that he bought back on the shelf. So I'm like sitting here and I'm talking to him and I'm like looking down at his hand and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, this guy is totally going to try and do this under the radar, try and be slick, like he's going to try and put this back. And I like look at his hands and then I look back at him like the face I'm giving him should know that I know exactly what he's trying to do. And he asks me something about the ingredient inside, like I said. And I was like, oh, great. Okay. So in my head now I'm thinking, okay, so this is a great way to try and divert my eyes. This is something that my brain will be a lot more targeted towards. So I'm going to be more focused on trying to figure out that one ingredient that I'm not going to have time to look at his hands if he slowly slips it under, you know? So I just kept my guard up because I knew exactly what he was trying to do. And the problem is this guy really thinks that he could get away with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't slick. I know exactly what you're trying to do. And then, so he looks at me. And he's like, yeah, does it have this in it? And I go, I'm not too sure. So I asked my coworker and I was like, hey, do you know if this has this inside? And she's like, oh, I'm not too sure. Let me just like look in the book. So when you grab the container of the product that he got, if you peel back the label, it will show all the ingredients that are inside of it. So I'm looking at everything and I'm looking. I'm like, okay, yeah, no. So I don't see it. And that's what I was saying to him. But as I'm almost done, this boy, okay? You know my gut? Yeah. Gut never lies. I have always been so good with my gut instincts. And this man did exactly what I thought he would. He moves. So I see his hand on the left side out of my peripheral vision. He brings the top, right? So the right hand of the product that he grabbed off the shelf. He slowly starts to move it under the bottom to his other hand, and the one that he bought, he moved from his left to his right. And then I said, and I noticed this, right? And I said, okay, well, it doesn't have that inside of it. And he was like, oh, okay. And he puts the one that he grabbed off the shelf back on the shelf. So I see that happen and I look at him directly and I smile. And then I was like, is that all? And he goes, nope, I think I'm good. And I said, okay, great. Oh, one last thing before you go. I turn around and I grab the moisturizer and I say, the one that you bought, you need to keep. So this is for you. And that is the one that he bought. And I said, the one that you have in your hand, which I grabbed out of his hand, I said, this one is ours. You cannot switch them out because there's an issue in our system that if you take one, and I was explaining to him, the problem is that if you take one off the shelf, even though you already bought it and it's the exact same thing, each one has a different type of barcode. So if I scan it in at the end of the year stating how much product that we had and make sure everything is proper, it's going to say that one of the items was stolen or missing. And that's obviously not the case, right? Because he bought it and he just tried to switch it out. But that one thing that we have at the barcode is still on the shelf. So it would say that there's another missing. Does that make sense? So one would be missing overall. So it just would be messing up with our system. And I told him, I was like, this is for you. You need to keep a hold of that. They're the exact same. Is that all that you needed today? And he looked like a deer in headlights. He was like, yeah, I'm done. And I was like, okay, great. Have a nice night. Because he didn't think that I would see. I'm like, no, you got caught. Don't even try and be slick. Like, that's just not the way it goes. It's like going to Walmart and taking like an iPad and then seeing the iPad that you have, you don't like that color of, and getting like a different color, even though it's the same iPad. Or you're grabbing an iPhone and say, oh, this one looks more clean, and then getting the opposite one. It's, if we, like, the alarms would still be going off because technically that's not the one that you bought. So he obviously was super shocked, and I just told him, I was like, just go. Are you done? Go, please. Don't ever do that, because in any store, I don't know if you tried to get away with it. I just thought it was funny that he thought he could get away with it, or that I would be too naive to notice what he was doing. But your girl's always on guard, okay? I am always on guard. You can't fool me, okay? So as soon as he left, I like turned to my coworker because she didn't see what had happened, because she was still looking. She's like, no, I don't see any of that ingredients in there. And I was like, yeah, no, it's fine. And I told her what happened, and she was like, oh my gosh, no way. And I was like, oh, I felt so cool. It was so funny because it sounds so lame, but I was like, I felt so cool because I was like, I stopped that from happening. Even though it's something really minor, I was like, yeah, I stopped that. So I thought it was really funny. My coworker thought it was hilarious. And guys, if you ever go to a store and there is something that you want and you already bought it, and say you wanted a different one, like a chocolate bar, you bought a chocolate bar, and say the one that you bought felt warm because your hands were holding it, and then like the heat was making it kind of mushy or something, and you're like, oh, I want a new one. So you switch it out. It doesn't work like that, love. It doesn't work like that. It's weird. It's a weird system, and I can understand in a way why he thought that he could do it, but you can't do it. That's just not a thing. You just can't do it. Anyway, so that happened at work, and I thought it was so funny because as soon as it happened, I was like, oh my God, I need to tell my subscribers. I need to tell everyone what happened. I need to tell everyone on YouTube, because I thought it was so like, I just thought it was really funny. And it was 10 minutes before I had to leave. So if I left even remotely a little bit earlier, that would have never happened. And I wouldn't even be able to get like a story out of it. It's just kind of like, never come back to my store again. But at the same time, thank you for the story. Thank you, so I can make content for my channel. But if you guys like this video, maybe please consider like commenting and subscribing. And yeah, I will see you all later. Bye guys.